Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a birthday card that I made for my dad. I'll be using both of the blues from this Coordinations Sea Glass pack. I'm going to be building my scene on a piece of Neenah exact vellum Bristol that I've trimmed down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'll be using the Ocean Wave borders from Lawn Fawn. I'm using the large one and the medium size dies. I used the large die to cut 2 waves from the lighter blue and then the medium die to cut 1 wave from that darker blue. I wanted to sandwich the darker blue wave in between the 2 lighter ones. And so now I'm just putting those onto my piece of white cardstock to get them arranged the way I want them. And the bottom wave I had to trim down just a little bit so that it fit on the card the way I wanted it to. And then I didn't want to leave the top of the card completely white. I wanted a little something there. So I took my tumbled glass distress ink and I just went over the top of my white cardstock very lightly just for a little hint of sky. And once I was happy with that, it was time for my favorite part of the card, which is the sailboat. To cut the sailboat out, I used some cherry wood paper from Altenew. This is the first time I've ever used this kind of paper, and I'm absolutely thrilled with how this turned out. I really liked it. The sailboat die is from My Favorite Things die-namics. So I just cut the bottom part of the boat, and I think it's the mast. Is that what that little thingy's called? Anyway, I cut those 2 pieces out of the cherry wood paper. And then I cut the sails and the flag out of some of that blue cardstock. And I cut the little stars out of some white cardstock. And then I realized that having the sails blue, you couldn't really see the banner that well. So I went ahead and cut the banner out of some of the white cardstock so that it would show up. And now I'm just going to play around a little bit with things and arrange them. And I wanted the boat also to be tucked in between the first and second layer of waves. I went ahead at this point and adhered the larger wave to my white cardstock. And I also went ahead and adhered my second wave, that darker blue, and then I was just playing around with my last wave and the little boat. And as I'm doing this, getting everything on there, I realized that the blue in the sails was just too much blue on the card with those waves. So I cut the sails out of some of the white cardstock. And instead of using both of them, I decided to just go ahead and use one of the sails. And I had some little blue stars that I cut out as well. I'll be putting those on the sail. So when those pieces were arranged the way I wanted, I went ahead and adhered the little sailboat onto that second layer of waves. I decided to offset it a little bit. I didn't want it exactly in the center of the card, but I also knew that I was going to need room for my happy birthday sentiment later. So I decided to just stick the sailboat a little bit to the left of the card. And I'm using my Quickie glue pen here to glue down my mast. And I went over this several times just to make sure that it stuck and wasn't going to come up. I'm just going to put my little blue banner down there. The reason you're not seeing me put adhesive on there is because originally when I did this, I cut everything out of some cardstock that I had put Stick It on. So the little banner already had adhesive on it, but I scrapped my original idea and went with this. But my banner already had adhesive on it, so I just was peeling off the backing of that Stick It so I could adhere my little banner or my flag. Now I'm just going to put my last wave on here. And again, using my Quickie glue pen, I'm just going to adhere some little blue stars onto my sail. And then since I had cut the stars out of the white cardstock, I didn't want to just throw those away. So I put one of the stars onto my little flag, and then I put the other white star onto the boat itself. And then as I'm doing this, I thought there was just still too much blue on this card. I wanted a little something extra along the bottom to break things up just a little bit. So I took the big splash border from Memory Box and I cut that out of some white cardstock. And then I'm just going to use my Quickie glue stick, my Quickie glue pen again to adhere that border. And I knew that this piece was a little bit too big for the card and that I was going to be trimming it, so I didn't have to go over the entire thing with the glue. I just went around the little curly cues or the splashes, and I just went part way down underneath of that because I knew I'd be trimming that off. And I really like using the Quickie glue pen for things like this because I really struggle with getting things on straight. So this glue, when it's dry, it will still stick. It's not permanent, but it sticks. And I'm not worried about anyone trying to dismantle their card, so I know that this will be fine. And because it's dry, it allows me to get it on whatever I'm gluing down. I can put it right where I want it and know that it's not going to stick if I have to move it. But once you press it down, it adheres pretty well, so I'm not worried about anything coming up. So once I had that all covered in glue and it was dried, which doesn't take long, I put that onto the front of my card there and I placed it just so there were a couple of those little splashes going up around the boat. I kind of thought it looked like the boat was just sailing through the water, making waves. And then I trimmed off along the bottom of the card, and then there was a little bit hanging off on the side, so I trimmed that off as well. For my happy birthday sentiment, I'm using some dies from Mama Elephant and some fun foam that has the adhesive on the back of it. I just ran those through my Cuddle Bug, and I'll be attaching those in a minute. This is a 5x7 card, so I started out with a 7x10 piece of the Nina Exact Index cardstock, and I just scored that at 5 inches on my Martha Stewart scoreboard. And then I took my little scene and I placed that down in the lower left corner because I was going to put the happy birthday up in the upper right, so I needed to make sure that I had plenty of room. So I'm just peeling that off of my die there and placing it so I know right where to put it. Then I'm going to adhere my scene to my card base. And I decided that the card base was a little too white, so I took some more of that tumbled glass distress ink, and I just went around the edges of the card just a little bit, just for a tiny bit of color. Then after I had taken all of the little pokey bits out of my happy birthday, I peeled off the back of the fun foam so that I could stick my happy birthday onto the card. Kind of had a hard time getting it on straight. I had to play with it a little bit. But I finally got it just so. And voila! Now the little eye above the little dot above my eye, I just used some multimedia matte to stick that little teeny dot above my eye. And as you can see, I had way too much glue there, so I had to take a little bit of that off. But once that was done, my card was finished, and my dad really enjoyed it. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that I know you like it, and I will continue making more videos. Until next time, happy card making!